let's start out with that and talk about faith and how does somebody get faith. Well, we have a program broadcast on the local cable in Washington, D.C. every week called Bridge to Faith. And when I started out, it starts something like this. Welcome to this week's episode of Bridge to Faith, the program that deals with faith, what it is, why we need it, and how it applies in today's world. I'm your host, Yusuf Estes, and for the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about this topic of faith. And by the way, as we go along, if you see something you like, if you see something that really appeals to you, note that down and make sure to catch the websites that we'll be talking about in the program. Now, somewhere along the way, we're going to interrupt our program and bring you a special segment of another program called Arabic in English. Arabic in English gives you a chance to learn something about Lagut Arabiya using the English that you already know. Then when we come back, we'll be talking with someone about their particular bridge to faith. Today, we're in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia, and you're going to see the Twin Towers, and we're going to be talking about the bridge that connects these two towers. In fact, we're going to be going right up on that bridge, and we'll be able to see from up there, and we'll be talking about that and the real bridge to the real faith. When we get a chance to listen to the person tell us about their story, they're coming into faith, I think you'll enjoy that just as much. All of that and more is coming up right here, so stay right there, and here comes Bridge to Faith. Oh, and by the way, don't forget our website, www.bridgetofaith.com. And now if you're wondering, does that have a bridge number 2 faith, or is it T-O? It doesn't matter, we own both of them. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, that's the real way we do the show. That we do that every week. You can tell it's rehearsed because I did the same thing all the time. Now, this program that I'm telling you about, Bridge to Faith, we have already done it. We've already been up to the towers. We've already crossed the bridge. So when you get back, you can edit that right in there, and you've got your setup now. That's what we didn't get to do, isn't it? See, you didn't think I'd take care of you, did you? All right. Now, in that program, we often have people who come on and talk to us about what woke them up to believe, what causes them to come to faith. And one of the things that we discover is that the common statement from all of the people is always this one thing, which says what? It says, Allah guided me. Each and every one of them say the same thing. Allah guided me. Now, we said science and we said common sense. Watch this. I was in Sweden in 2000. I was supposed to give a lecture in Malmo at the museum. But the people running the museum didn't really want me to give the speech, especially because it was about women in Islam, and they wanted to present the image of the men beating the women, and so when they figured out, it's an American Muslim going to be talking, they said, no, we have a rule that you can't give the speech. I said, why? They said, you don't know the Swedish language. Well, I couldn't say anything. I said, all right, whatever, I'll just sit in the front row and make some notes and learn. I get somebody to translate for me, So they brought up one of the historians and professors there, and he gave a talk which was already prepared anyway, and I didn't need a translator because he gave it in English. Not joking. That's what he did. It's okay. I always learn. Allah always makes things happen to me so that it's a benefit. I never lose. I've never lost. 17 years I've been Muslim. I don't think I lost 1 second. Everything was always worth something to me. And this was not any exception to the rule. Here's what happened. He started talking about how his research took him to the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and in each case he knows the language of these countries, and he spoke to the people in their own language, and he wanted to talk to the women who were converts, who had entered into Islam, and find out what was the motivator there. Was it because your husband was beating you and forcing you? Was it because some guy tricked you into it? Was it because there was some pressure here? There's got to be some reason, because in his own words, he said the number of women going to Islam is phenomenal. Especially when you consider that there's so much talk in the media about how much oppression and abuse there is on women in Islam. Why would anybody want to go? What would cause them to go to Islam? And that's when he repeated again. He said that he asked each of the women that would talk to him, why did you go to Islam? What caused you to go to Islam? Tell me what it is. Now listen to his own words. He said, in every country, in every situation, and every single language, they said what means, because Allah guided me. Then he repeated it again. He said, every one of them said, because Allah guided me. And then he said, but of course I don't believe that, because after all, I'm a historian. I don't know what that means, but I know one thing: I don't want to be a historian. I think he meant hysterical. I don't know. I'm wondering in my mind, what is happening here when you do a test once and it works? Could be an accident, a fluke. Twice, 3, 4, 17, 37, 95, 104, 2087. And every time it's always the same, and you go, but still, no, I don't believe that, because it doesn't make sense to me. Now we are not talking about common sense, are we? This is called actually prejudice. You already have prejudged the situation. You are not being fair. You are not really looking at evidence that's testable. All you're saying is, this is what I already want to believe.